I bet there is about probably 99% of you did not know this, and me myself did not know this till this very day. There are only 2 Mustangs that are ever produced on the street driving right now that have actually been wind tunnel tested to 200 plus miles an hour. Take a guess of the 2. You can drop a comment right now. One isn't standing behind me, but there is another one that is $500,000, and that is the GTD. Only 2 Mustangs. Mustang number 1 that has been tested at 200 miles an hour. This 2024 Mustang Dark Horse has been tested to 200 plus miles an hour. And so has the 2024 or maybe 2025 Mustang GTD. Granted, we know the Dark Horse isn't capable. It doesn't have the power, doesn't have the speed to reach 200 miles an hour. But what does that tell you? This car has been wind tunnel tested. And I can actually say this from owning a 2020 Shelby GT500. That car was capable of 200 miles an hour, but Ford limited it to 180 miles an hour because of the tires and other factors. And yeah, I think Ford is going after the ZR1 with whatever they are building. And you know what made me think of it is this car and my GT500. So I sold my 2020 Shelby GT500 known as Zeus that was making 1,000 wheel literally over this car. And the reason I said that because I always felt like this car had more to give than the GT500. There was just some things I loved about it, but there were some things I didn't love. There could have been more refinement. It could have been better. There's so many things that I think that the new Mustang with the dual clutch and the carbon ceramic brakes is going to be everything that I actually wanted to be done in my GT500. The hood shake in the 2020 plus GT500, anyone with a GT500 that actually races their car, or it's been 120 plus miles an hour, your back of the hood right back here in your GT500, GT350, S550 Gen 3, Gen 2 S550, all the S550s literally had the same problem, was massive hood shaking. Literally towards the back where the latches go, you would almost see, if I could find a clip from my Shelby, back here, when you're driving, there was so much air coming into the front of the car, the back of the hood would literally just start shaking and dancing. And Ford would also have 3 pretty much lockdown points. They had a pin here, the hood latch here, obviously that was, and another hood pin here. And it still really couldn't keep the hood from shaking. Maybe that is why, after thinking about it, they limited the car to only 180 miles an hour. There's only been 2 cars I've driven close to 200 miles an hour. One being this GTR right here, and 2 being my Shelby GT500. GTR was very stable, but having 1,700 wheel horsepower, getting you to 200 miles an hour, it was a lot more violent. It was more extreme, but still felt pretty good at 200 miles an hour. Dark Horse, let's just say at top speed, 155 I think it is rated at, but I think I saw 158 on the dash when I topped this thing out in 5th gear, because 6th gear is just an overdrive gear. 5th gear is literally all you get out of these cars. So you're pretty much limited by gearing, because in literally 5th gear, 150, almost 160 miles an hour, this car was still pulling. It pulled all the way to 5th without a single issue. It didn't feel like it was falling on its face. Literally revved all the way out 5th gear with no issue at all. But there was a few things I did notice at top speed. One being how stable this car was. I literally could have made myself a cup of coffee in the car at 100, almost 60 miles an hour. That's how smooth, stable, direct, and it was just, everything was operating good. When I looked down at my temperatures, my inlet air was good, my axle temperature was good, my engine oil temperature was good, my rear oil temperature was good. Everything was operating so smooth at such high speed. I can only imagine with something with a dual clutch now, carbon ceramic brakes all the way around, with a 200 mile an hour capable body, what is Ford coming out with? What are they really gonna make? I want you guys to look this up. If you don't believe me, it's called a rolling road wind tunnel. That is the tunnel that they tested the Dark Horse and the GTD in. And you guys know, the GTD was a race car. It was a race car that they literally modified, made it for the street. Am I a fan of the GTD? Yes, I like it, but I think it is a little overpriced. I wish it was like 200K versus 550 some thousand. It's kind of a stretch. But yes, I get what it did. I know how track capable it is, but for having the same exact S650 interior as my car that cost me $72,000. And I know the Porsches and all the stuff are similar to the GT, like GT regular 3 to the GT 3 RS, and I get it, they're similar, but I don't know. For a Mustang, I've always felt like the Mustang was the underdog. It's always been the underdog to me. It's always been the poor man's muscle car. Like, I feel like it's always been the underachiever. Everyone's always shitting on the Mustang for some reason or attacking it for some reason. And that's what makes me like the Dark Horse a lot better. It's been the most hated, the most underselling Mustang ever in history. But something about this one tells me it's so much special than all the rest I've ever owned. And hence the reason I sold my GT500 to keep this one. I just feel like there's something else coming for this car. And knowing what just the chassis alone and the body's capable of only leaves me to believe they are going to come out with an absolute legend of a car, which, hence the name Legend, is the new name of the motor that Ford trademarked supposedly, and you never know what they have coming out. But knowing the fact that this is 200 mile an hour capable body is pretty insane to think about. It really, really is. But to have the same interior as the GTD, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. Absolutely nothing. The only thing I noticed about the GTD, obviously, they put the little carbon surrounding there like they had for the Ford GT. They put the regular turn shifter. You could find that turn shifter in a Ford Fusion. And they just didn't really do anything crazy special. It's just carbon fiber, same steering wheel. That was the one thing I wish. I wish they just went a little more crazy. And I like these Recaros better in the Dark Horse, better than the ones that they put in the GTD. The ones that they put in the GTD were the ones out of the Shelby GT500 and GT350. So I kind of wish Recaro maybe did a one-of-one design for this car, or for the GTD, I should say. That would have been something different. But to me, it looks too similar. And for the price, I just feel like it should have been cheaper. I was allocated one for having all these vehicles and the social media following. Ford did send me an allocation. But if it was $200K, I possibly would have sold this, then sold my GT500 and got a GTD over keeping the Dark Horse. But $550,000 for pretty much kind of what I had with the GT500, the 5.2 Predator motor. I really didn't want that engine again. Nothing wrong with the engine, but it wasn't really much more different than I had. I've already had that motor. I've had that experience. I've had that sound. I've experienced the dual clutch. I love the body of the GTD, but really, I'm not anywhere near a track to actually put that car to its full potential. So figured I'm not spending $500,000 on a Mustang. Dark Horse is to stay, but the new one coming out, whatever's going to be above the Dark Horse and in between the GTD, that's a little less expensive, that's the one I want. I believe, just my perspective on it, I think that one is going to be probably maybe starting at $140,000, and it's going to be optioned out all the way to probably $200K, which would put it in the same exact category as the ZR1. Hence the reason you're going to see carbon ceramics on that S650 in those spy photos. Hence the reason you're going to see the dual clutch. It is going to be, I believe, an S650 Dark Horse body, but just with a different motor, a dual clutch transmission, and probably maybe a wide body kit. Something wider, if I had to guess, to put more of a tire up front. For one, more grip, obviously, because it's probably going to be boosted if I had to guess. I would pray it's going to be twin turbo. If it's twin turbo, Ford is goated for that. Just like Chevrolet did, because turbos are just so much better than a root style supercharger. So much more potential with the turbos. Nothing against superchargers, but if you know and you're trying to build a supercharged car and trying to make it fast, you'll learn to love it, and then you'll learn to love to hate it, because you're going to be changing belts after belt after belt after belt, trying to make 1,000 wheel horsepower. Eventually, things wear out, belts start to slip, and then you literally cut up your hands every time you're trying to do a belt. And that's no fun. Turbos are free power and no belts needed for turbos. Turbos force the air in, make just as much power, if not more power, than a supercharger, and then, well, bam, you have better longevity. I mean, the Chinese did it right in Japan or whatever. They definitely did it right with the GTR. Since 09, they've literally had the same powertrain from 09 all the way to the final one of 2025, which is kind of crazy. So that's one car right there that has been very thought out. So you guys heard the sound of that test mule. Literally sounds just like my GT500. You have also seen the brakes that I just showed you in the picture that are literally carbon ceramics, the exact same we have over on the GTR. But there is one more photo I have to show you of a front end shot someone got. And the reason I have to show you this last photo is because I really truly believe in this photo that the new Mustang is going to be like a wide body front fender. I think it's going to be like this fender underneath, like they just did for the GT500, like mine. And then they're going to add that fiberglass body piece that's going to go around just to make it a little bit wider. You're about to see it now. So shout out FordAuthority.com. They were the ones that got the photo. You guys just saw it on the big screen, and I got my phone right here in front of me so you guys can see picture for picture while we have the car right here. You guys can see exactly what I'm talking about in that photo. And you can also see at the top of the fender how it is noticeably a lot wider right there at the top. Zoom in right there. See how it's almost flat right there at the top, and you can see how much wider it looks compared to this. Look how thin this is. This is the fender line. This is the flat part. It's hard to see because it's white. Maybe the size of my nail. That one in the picture looks pretty wide, and it looks much fatter, even from the rear. Everything about it doesn't look like it's completely cut off. It just looks like it's free flowing, and it just keeps on going right there. So, you know what that means. There is something more to meets the eye right here, and that is a massive track cooler. That looks upgraded. And it looks like this side's opened up too. So, I don't know. This side's closed on the Dark Horse. And this side is open. So, I don't know, boys. Y'all let me know in the comment section. What do y'all think? With that being said, boys, you let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think? Is Ford going to come out with something that is going to be ZR1 compatible? Because we obviously know the GTD doesn't have the power of the ZR1, but it can handle very, very well. So is Ford going to come out with something that is 200 mile an hour capable? Maybe, I mean, we know it has a dual clutch. We know it has carbon ceramic brakes. Both those are a fact. We don't know what motor is under the hood. It would be kind of weird for Ford to still use the same 5.2 Predator that is going to be in the GTD. Really just wouldn't make sense, in my opinion. If you want something new and you're going to come out with a new model of something that's going to be totally different with S650, I really, really believe it's got to be a new motor. Something cool, something twin turbo, and it could possibly be all-wheel drive. GTR handles amazing. If you add, let's just say 1,000 horsepower to a Mustang, all-wheel drive, full carbon ceramics all the way around, just like the GTR. Let me tell you, you hit these brakes at 200 miles an hour, it's like slowing down a pickup truck from 20 miles an hour. That's probably the best way to describe it. It literally is effortless. And the more you stand on these brakes, the better it stops. So yeah, I just really think something big is going to come out from Mustang, and I think people are going to be stoked. I think it's going to be a killer. And yeah, there's only one way to find out. But knowing the fact that this body is 200 mile an hour capable, and the only body that Ford has ever done to 200 miles an hour besides probably the Ford GT. But yeah, for a Mustang, S650 is something special in my opinion. You guys let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I love you guys. Road to 100K and deuces.